we go. Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And I am here, you guys. We'll see who pops in first. Or if people said, oh, Cindy can't be on time when I'm just not going to show up then, right? And my apologies, my apologies. I was actually sitting here and I was watching Antiques Roadshow is what I was watching. Antiques Roadshow and it was a thumbnail that got me. It was a beautiful vase, one of these oriental vases, and the thumbnail, it suckered me in, and I went in there, and I knew I had to come live, and then I'm just like into my show, and then I went, oh my goodness, right? Oh my goodness, people are waiting for me, and then luckily my coffee was ready to go, and I just came in here and hit the live button. I'm not even sure if I did the details properly, but I can always fix that after the live. So you guys, Andrew, Owen, thank you so much for popping in tonight. How are you guys doing tonight? How are you guys doing? I just got off of work actually. I just got home and I just sat here at my desk, made myself a cup of coffee. I haven't even had my first sip yet. Oh, hot. Yeah, haven't had my first sip yet. But yeah, I turned on Antiques Roadshow. I don't know if you guys like Antiques Roadshow, but when I was watching TV, and we're going back 4 years now because I haven't had a TV in 4 years. I can't believe that. It doesn't seem that long. Time just seems to be just speeding up so fast, right? So fast. But yeah, I used to love Antique Roadshow. Hi, William. I saw your picture on Instagram. That was a really nice picture. He was wearing his what was that? He was wearing his festives. Is that what festives? His collar and his jacket because he's a pastor now. You're a pastor, right? Owen, is that, or William, is that your title, pastor? What do people call you at church? Yeah, curious, right? Because, there's pastor, there's father, there's preacher, there's, what is it, minister, right? Your holiness. I'm just curious. I'm just curious what they would refer to you because you would have some kind of title, I would think. I'm so happy my week is over. I'm going into 3 days off now. So I've got a few things I need to do around the house. I have a video that I need to get up on my days off. It'll be the last installment of our vacation this year. It'll probably be a fairly long video, and it'll probably be lots of trails because towards the end I had the opportunity. I did, right? You know how that feeling when your vacation is coming to an end and you go, but I didn't do this and I didn't do this, and you try and fill it up, right? So I was trying to fill it up with the trails. I did a lot of trails. I didn't get footage of even all the trails. Like I went down a few trails, and a few trails I wasn't even able to get down because of the trees were sapping, and because they were wood walkways in the forest, like platforms going over creeks and stuff, that I wasn't able to get very far down the trails. But the amount that I did go through the town, and I guess I could have gone off of that boardwalk and just gone in and walked through the forest. But I kind of figure they put the boardwalk there for a reason, right? To protect the environment. Oh, I watched such a great documentary today, right? They say on average, 30% of the world's population is nearsighted, is nearsighted. And Japan and Canada and the United States, we are 50% nearsighted. They were saying because there are some countries that aren't as nearsighted, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They thought it was genetic, right? It was, I don't know if you guys heard about this. I thought it was absolutely just fascinating because I push Mother Nature. I'm a little preachy when it comes to getting out and connecting with Mother Nature. And right, they could not figure out, and it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse, right? In China, like the children are, they call it myopia, I think they call it. Right? So young, and it's such a problem. And it turns out it's because they are not connecting outdoors, right? Like plants need sun. Like we weren't meant to be inside of buildings and staring at computers. I remember as a kid, my mother saying, "Get away from the TV. You're sitting too close to the TV. You're going to ruin your eyes," right? And the rule was we were never allowed to lay on the floor in front of the television in those days, right? We didn't have hanging TVs, right? Or great big consoles on the floor, right? And you didn't even have a remote control. You had to get up, right? Dad say, "I need channel 12." And then all us girls, we would be fighting to, right? Dad beckoned a chore. And so all of us girls would fight each other just to see who would able to accommodate, whatever our dad needed, whether it was a cigarette, a cup of tea, right? Whether he wanted a book or his favorite slippers or the channel changed, right? He was king in his castle, that was for sure. But yeah, so it took decades for them to figure out what the problem was. They could see clearly that there was a problem, but they didn't know why it was increasing so much nearsightedness. And it's because people aren't getting outside enough. They're not getting enough sun. They're not getting enough fresh air, right? They're not connecting with Mother Nature. And you guys know I preach Mother Nature all the time. It's why I started doing the back road explorations and then urban exploration and farm fields. Like it's just being out in Mother Nature. And every year the number is going lower and lower and lower. They're testing it in China because that's the one that had the worst problem. And so they've been doing it for, how long did they say? 3 or 4 years. 3 4, because they didn't know up until like 2021 what the problem was and what the solution was. And now in China the kids get 90 minutes of outdoor exercise every day. It's part of the prerequisite that the kids have to be outdoors because they're spending this day and age, in this digital age, right? It makes sense that everybody is going to end up in glasses. Now, I'm not nearsighted. I'm farsighted, out of my own stupidity. I stared at a floodlight way too long, and I ruined my eyes. It just makes it so your eyes aren't shaped properly. I wasn't wearing glasses full time until I was 27 years old. But for nearsightedness, what we're talking about, right? And yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So you guys make sure, no matter what, you get out, you get outside, get some Mother Nature, even if you're just sitting at a bus stop or on your front porch or in the backyard or go to the park, right? Get some Mother Nature. And I'm going to be doing even more because I notice, especially when I am so involved in my movement forward, that, right, I would much rather I'm not going to put my headset on and walk around and listen to podcasts with my headset, because my walk is for Mother Nature's to connect with my outdoor surroundings. I am full in to my landscapes. I am full into the people on the streets and what's going on, right? And yeah, I think it's absolutely pretty incredible when I see these truths that are mine become fact out in the world. And I watched this documentary today. Was it a documentary? Maybe it was like a one of those news stations. But they do long form reports. Yeah, it was something like that, but it was very good. But I had no idea what nearsightedness was caused by, right? And they also were able to use some medicines, some very ancient medicines, as eye drops, very teeny minute amount. Hi, Kathy. Oh, you just started watching my park videos. Oh, good. They're long. Those videos, I try to make sure they're like half hour, 40 minutes long. I think if in practicing, maybe not in this moment, but as I make more videos and I get the feel of it, right? And I get the swing of what looks good, because even when I'm doing my editing and stuff, I look at that and I go, oh my goodness, well, I could have done that. Or, oh, they would have liked to see that. Or even sometimes, I go on these flows, right? And, because I do these Google diaries every once in a while, it's like, I speak to my Google, like it's nothing for me to pull out the phone and go, blah, 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 and I go off on these topics. And I went off on so many topics, and my sister just said that I was preachy a couple of weeks ago, and I went, "Oh my goodness, these are my outdoor videos, and like every one of them is like these deep conversations." And I'm going to, at least, Cindy, can you walk down the trail as you're having these conversations? I'm just standing there in front of a tree or something. But this is the little nitpicking that I do, because in that talking to myself, and it shows me that I'm actually paying attention, because I'm actually looking at the videos as if I was watching the video. I watched one of my videos from that park trip again. Somebody made a lovely comment, so I went into the video to read the comment and to answer it. And but the video was playing in the background. And then after I answered it, I went, oh, well, let's just see how this is. And I watched it, and it was okay. It was pretty good, I would say. I would say that, if I didn't know Cindy, it would take me some time, because there's not a lot of immediate excitement in those. But right, with us guys, we've been with each other for so long, it's just comfortable just to walk into it and not worry about, right? You know what I mean when I say that, this trip is for myself. If I felt that I was having to entertain, right, then I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it, and I would fail in it, right? But because, remember what I said, that it's nothing for me to pull out my camera and go, right? Because it just isn't. It's almost like expressing my thoughts in the moment, but verbally. And when you're out in Mother Nature, right? Like, very rarely did I even come across people in my path. I did have conversations and say hello at the camps and stuff. But when I was out on the trails, not much. I didn't pass many people at all. I was out there all by myself. It was absolutely amazing. And I picked the most perfect time to go on this trip. September is so perfect for me. I think October would be okay if it was right in the beginning of October because we had a big couple of big snowstorms in the beginning of October this year. So you can't count on the weather cooperating, right? I normally have a show and tell, you guys. Did you notice I didn't say anything about our show and tell? Today is usually show and tell day. But this week, we're not going to do the show and tell. I'm going to let my bin run another paycheck, and it'll probably be a big one. I got some nice things in there, but I'm going to run my show and tell next payday because this payday, right? Being accountable to myself, I need to buy my glasses, right? This is what this payday is about. So I am not going to have a show and tell today. I could have a show and tell. I got lots of things. Right? Like everything, every single item in my home that is decor, even if it's not decor, it has a story, even if it's just a little story of how it made me feel when I saw it, right? And yeah, but the show and tells of my staff charges, and I can't remember. Oh, my staff charge. Here's some good news, you guys. Or I should cover my address. I got my new modem. I got my new modem for my internet. I got some kind of deluxe package in here. And I don't know what it's going to do for me. My computers work pretty good, but it's the super duper deluxe plan. And I'm getting it for the same amount of money for what I was paying. Yeah, so I'll be installing that this weekend. We're going into December right away, you guys. Right? The Christmas party on Christmas Eve. Yeah, so I'll make a post and I'll be spending Christmas Eve by myself, probably opening my Christmas stocking. I was thinking this year because for the past couple of weeks, I was thinking, oh, it would be nice to have a night where I just have cocktails. And I was imagining what kind of cocktails would I like. And I said I'll have Christmas Eve, our Christmas Eve party, right? I have not drunk any alcohol, I don't think in a couple of years. Alcohol was never my thing. I worked in bars and nightclubs for like 15 years, and it never drinking was never my thing. Maybe the experience of my grandfather and the story of my grandfather and how it affected the relationship with my dad, and I was very possessive and protective of my father, and I didn't like the way my grandfather treated my dad, especially when my dad was such a good son. Like my you could just see, like, my dad was such a good man, right? But he was a good son when that father really did not deserve to have such a loving, kind, forgiving, tolerant son, right? But why did I bring that up? Do. I have no idea. You can remind me if you want to. I'll swing right back into it, but I was gonna spiel into something there. Hmm. I can't remember what it was. In the store. Well, there isn't any Power Rangers. The Power Rangers, actually, they don't come in very often. The guys must really, really, really love their Power Rangers. We had the Plastic Castle come in a couple of months back, but I've never seen any of the figures or anything. But I'm keeping my eyes open because I do know that you like those figures. So I keep my eye open, and I told the guy I work with, right, who does the pricing and stuff on the weekend, that if he sees one, just to put it off to the side, right? Yes, I'm going to wear one of my flannel nightgowns, right? I'm going to wear one of my flannel nightgowns. I'm just going to be comfy. It's Christmas. I'm going to pull out my ceramic Christmas tree actually on this set of days off too. It's all I'm going to really put out. Oh, and my Scotty dog, my Christmas Scotty dog that I bought last year, and he goes on my fireplace, and and then my ceramic Christmas tree, and that's it for Christmas. But yeah, I was thinking I would have a drinks on Christmas Eve. I don't know if I'll have uh tequila paralyzers, or maybe tequila and pineapple juice, or there's another one, it's called an electric monkey, and I invented the drink, but somebody else named the drink because it was so fabulous. And it's a shot of Kahlua, it's a shot of banana liqueur, it's a shot of tequila, and then you fill it up with milk, and then you put a little bit of Coke in it for the fizzies, and then you put a maraschino cherry and a couple of drops of the maraschino juice into it. Oh, they're so good. But on Christmas Eve, that might give me rot gut. That's my as I get older, I find that my stomach doesn't handle the dairy like it used to, right? Even now, I prefer coffee whitener. I don't, I right, because I find that coffee doesn't, or the creamer doesn't set well in my intestines. Lactose intolerant. That's what you call it. Lactose intolerant. As I get older, I find that I'm getting more lactose intolerant. Castle. Yeah, because it looked like a skull. It was like a gate, but it was an actual skull. Yeah, so Christmas party. It's going to be a pajama party again, and I'm gonna have some kind of cocktail. I don't know what I'll have, but I feel like maybe I'll have some alcohol. I was actually telling the girl I work with that when I drink it, it's pretty funny the way I drink, because you'll notice I'll get really, really tipsy pretty fast because of the gastric bypass that I had in the 80s. I get pretty drunk. It gets into my system pretty fast, especially if I haven't eaten. And I get drunk really fast. And the funny thing is, um, I do this and I get really stupid for about 5 minutes, and then hangover sets in, because as fast as I get drunk is as fast as I sober up. But when I sober up, I have, right, you have the that hangover feeling. Oh, okay. Do you like white wine or red wine, Kathy? I can't do red wine because I have some kind of reaction when I do red wine. My lips always turn purple and they swell up, and it looks like somebody punched me in the face when I drink red wine. I don't know why. I'm not allergic to anything. Oh, you like both? Oh, that's nice. Have you ever tried the ice wines, Kathy? Like the ones from the frozen that they make out of the frozen grapes? I think they call it ice wine. My sister likes that wine. I should tell my sister, because she's going to leave it all with her ex-husband. My sister's in the process of divorcing her husband, and he's still in the house, and he has everything except what she wanted to take into her new apartment. And she's got like, I don't know, 12 bottles. I think she was really in love with Dan Aykroyd, and he came to Winnipeg, and she stood in line for like 3 hours to get her wine, her case of wine, all the bottles in her case signed. And she's got like 12 bottles of Dan Aykroyd wine. I don't know how long it lasts because that was quite a while ago when she had that wine autograph, but the bottles themselves might be worth something. I should tell her to grab them. Would you want them, Kathy, if she to grab? Otherwise, he's going to get them. He's going to get everything, and he's gonna waste it or give it away, or I don't know what he's going to do with all that stuff. Yeah, he's going to come out of this really, really quite comfortable. And the funny thing is, that man was a house husband. He never had to work. I feel so bad for my sister. I feel so bad that she has to have that lesson, right? Because obviously it's a lesson, and she's had such a bad, rough couple of years. I mean, this is a good thing. This is such a good thing, right? This is exactly what she needs, and she had to be ready for it, right? Oh, okay. That's good to know. So then he can have the stinky wine, right? He can have the stinky wine. Yeah, I didn't know if there's expiry dates because you always hear about those people who find wine in the castle dungeons and stuff, and then they open them up and drink wine, and they go, "Oh, it tastes so good! It's just as good as any top quality wine I've ever had." And his stuff is like 700 years old, and it's got sediment on the bottom of it, out of the bottles like this, right? Like I said, I was a bartender and a waitress for, oh my goodness, over 15 years, and I could barely recognize, unless you were bumping into walls or falling flat on your face, or your character changed where like you were a nice person. I knew you as a nice person, and all of a sudden you turned into like Tasmanian devil or something. I had a hard time distinguishing a drunk person from a sober person. I wasn't very good at it, and I wasn't very interested in it. That was my job, right? Yeah, that was my job. Oh my goodness, the Jewish redneck prepper is here. Holy moly, it has been a long time. It has been a very, very long time. This is an old follower, you guys, that have been hanging out with us just as long as any of you guys have. Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a very long time. Actually, I saw a comment from him, I think, a couple of months back. Okay, let's come down here. So, what's new with you guys? Anything new with you guys? For accomplishing, I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm purposely making sure that, because November is such a hard month for me, right? Like, it's that dark, dreary just before the cold winter sets in. And it took us a little bit by surprise because winter came early this year. It's been, I would have to say, oh, I can't remember winter coming on as early as it is. Like, we have snow on the ground that's staying. That's going to be here till spring already. And usually November it's getting cold already, but that snow that actually stays on the ground usually doesn't come in until like the second week of November, and which is just about coming up this next coming week. But this snow has been on the ground for over 2 weeks already. We had a very nice day today. The sun came out and it warmed up a little bit. But yeah, it's not going to be enough to melt the snow. And I don't know what the temperatures are supposed to be here. Well, I don't know where my phone is. I must have plugged it in. I must have plugged it in or something. You like those? You like those? Those were the parks, you guys. I just love the Ontario parks. They're so beautiful, and especially in the fall when all those colors. Oh my goodness, I couldn't, I, I couldn't believe the views just going for drives. There was a couple of days where I spent most of the day just driving, like in the last video, right at the beginning there was one whole day from morning all the way till night, like pulling into my camping spot and just crawling into the back of the truck and going to sleep, like just driving all day. But I loved it, right? That's it's and I really loved this year that I made it a little bit loose, right? I didn't say a lot of I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to stay here. I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to stay, and I did kind of try and plan, but it wasn't working out for me. So I just kind of said, well, I'll go, and if it works out, yay, and if it doesn't, that's okay. We're on holidays. We're not going to worry about it, right? And then a lot of the things that I said, well, if I have time, I'm going to do this, and if I have time, I'm going to do this. And then that all switched around, and I got to do things that were really not even meant to be on the agenda, right? When I go on my trips, I don't always film them or anything, but I do quite often at those rest stops take out my garbage bags, and I clean rest stops. I'm a little bit anal about litter. I'm still not recycling, but I'm very conscious about what I'm contributing when I'm outside on my own. Like, you'll never see me throw anything on the ground. And if I see some piece of litter that is kind of ruining a landscape, it's the only piece of garbage on a nice clean lawn or something I come across. I'm always picking picking stuff up and always carrying things home. Right? Carrying things home, and I don't know why I became so anal, or why I would, especially when I'm not somebody who is a recycler. Like, I'm terrible with my garbage. I use plastic garbage bags. I don't use the compostable garbage bags for my waste. I don't separate my things, right? And I could, and I should, right? But I don't. Mm. Something to think about. Maybe, right, because I am changing, because I'm not that litter bug, right? It would be nothing for me to throw, you finish your chocolate bar and there's your paper and you just throw it off. You don't even think about it. I was that person. I had, it's not that I didn't have a lack. I love Mother Nature. I've always loved Mother Nature. But yeah, maybe I disrespected what I loved, Mother Nature, because now that I love Mother Nature properly, Mother Nature rewards me every time, right? Every time. I'm going to connect with Mother Nature on my days off. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may walk to one of my sisters, or go to the park and go for a walk at the park, take my bird seed. I can't believe it. I'm watching my camping videos, you guys. I can't believe how many times I forgot my bird seed, right? And how many times, it's like almost every time I got out of the car and went down a trail, I would stop and go, oh, I forgot my birdseed. Forgot my just something. I'm gonna have to get my own, like, little fanny pack, and like when those adults go down the wedding aisle and they throw the flowers out of their fanny packs. But with me, I'll just do the same thing, but I'll be doing it with the bird seed, right? Yeah, there was quite a few times I would have liked to have had my birdseed and should have had my birdseed. I came home with more than a half a bag of birdseed, and I should have had to do a second trip to the store to get another bag of birdseed. So I didn't do very good on the birdseed, but I did so good on the other things. I loved the Rubbermaid containers. I love working out of the Rubbermaid containers. It kept the vehicle nice and clean. I like to know where everything is. And so the Rubbermaid containers, right? At the very least, I knew what Rubbermaid containers, so and so item was in it all the time. And then to be able to use them as little tables, beside you on the seat, or when you go to sleep at night, you can put your phone there, right? Because I always wake up by the alarm. I was actually thinking that maybe I would set my alarm 1 hour ahead. Uh, for the past, oh my goodness, 6, has it been that long? Wow, like time goes so fast. For the past half a dozen years, you guys, I would have to, at least I have been waking up at 7 o'clock every single morning. I wake up like 5 minutes before the alarm. I'm like an alarm myself now. I wake up like 5 minutes. Even if I've only had 3 hours sleep, I go to bed really, really late or something. I'd still like an alarm clock. I still wake up 5 minutes before my alarm goes off, and I have to get up to turn my alarm off, right? And sometimes I just go back to bed and I lay in bed and I use that for contemplation or sees what kind of thoughts or conversation comes to my mind and then just expand on that. Sometimes I get up and make a cup of coffee. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I come to the desk and right and I'll take in a few lessons. But there really isn't a need for me to be up at 8 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So I was thinking that maybe I would actually try to set the alarm for 8 and then train my body to sleep, like still go to bed at 11 or 12 at night. It usually varies. Sometime between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock at night. And I'm usually asleep a few minutes after that. No more than 5 minutes. Just enough time just to give my cat a little bit of attention because she sleeps on the pillow next to me. So when I go to bed, she jumps up on the bed and she goes to her pillow beside me, and she knows she's going to get some rubby dubbies for 2 or 3 minutes, right? Then I give her a couple of pats and I throw the quilt over her and I throw the quilt over me, and I'm out. I'm gone. I'm like the bestest in the whole world at going to sleep when it's time to go to sleep. And actually a couple of days ago it was like 9 o'clock at night and I was ready for bed and I looked at the clock and I said, "Oh no, it's too early. I can't go to bed. I can't go to bed yet." And I waited until just after 10 o'clock at night and I says, I gotta go to bed. And the alarm went off, and then I got up and I remember what I said about 8 o'clock, and I went and I turned the alarm off and I went back to bed. I don't think I went to sleep though. I just laid there. I just laid there for an hour because I'm ready to start my day. But now that it's winter and I don't want to get up at 7 o'clock when it's still dark out and because of the time change, if I get up at 8 o'clock, then at least I can wake up to the daylight, right? And that would be a good feeling because it's not a good feeling to start your day in the dark and then to end your day in the dark at the same time. Unless you live on a farm, you got to go milk the cows. But I would suspect that isn't fun either. Going to milk the cows in the dark, right? 40 below zero, right? Without even a cup of coffee. Okay, let's take a look at the comments here. My dad was notorious. I have no idea. My dad must have started forest fires because my dad was a 2 pack a day smoker. He smoked 2 packages of cigarettes a day, and we'd be sitting in the back of the car, and he'd say, "Do your window up," because he would always chuck his cigarettes out the window as we're driving down the highway. At that time they had the litter orbs, right? All along the highways. And this idea of not being a litter bug. And I guess you guys heard that same phrase, litter bugs, eh? We were called litter bugs, and people would call you a litter bug if they saw you throwing anything on the ground. So it was kind of a way of shaming you into not littering. But at that time, I wasn't conscious of my environment as in Mother Nature and taking care of it so much. Peace, love, and harmony, I was all about that because Coca Cola taught me, right? I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony, right? And so I always look for that perfect harmony in my life, never ever finding it. But when it came to litter and throwing things on the ground, yeah, I wasn't very considerate or conscious in any way about these kind of things. But I tell you, I'm so anal. Sometimes, I have even things in my hand, like say I go and pick something up at the coffee shop, a pastry or something, right? And they give you a little brown biodegradable napkin, right? To hold it in, and I'm walking down the sidewalk and I go to wipe my face, and the next thing you know, the wind is picking up my biodegradable napkin. And no kidding, you guys, I am chasing that thing. And you've seen little pieces of paper blowing in the wind, and like my napkins blowing on Pembina Highway, right? And I'm running across the road trying to catch this napkin, biodegradable napkin. That's how anal. That's how anal I am. I just like, are you kidding me? And as I'm doing that, in my mind, I'm thinking, it's biodegradable, Cindy. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. But then the guilt and the shame rises up on me, and I go chase it down. But the thing is, I feel so good, right? I just, oh, Cindy, silly girl, right? And then I put it in the pocket. But when I say, oh, Cindy, silly girl, it is with a little bit of pride that I do that now, right? Oh, right, because when you do, it leaves marks on the windows. You have to use paper towel, and you have to do a good job, otherwise you're just gonna have terrible streaks on your window. That's a really good tip, Andrew. Never put anything on the stove that isn't meant to be on the stove, because I know what you're talking there. Because last night I had my buns in a bag, and what was I making? Was I making hot dogs? I was making hot dogs, I think. And I had my buns, and I had those on the stove. And then after I made my hot dogs, I was thinking, oh my goodness, Cindy, what are those doing on the stove? The stove's still hot. Your bread's gonna go stale, right? Because it was all warm and everything. But you're right. You're right. I'm always leaving things on the stove. But for the most part, it's just my main pans. I keep my main cooking pans on the stovetop. They just stay there all the time because I use them all the time, right? So my big fry pan, my little fry pan, and my little pot, right? For whatever I've got to boil up or something. Hmm. Andrew saying a few weeks ago, his neighbor's apartment caught fire while he was out. He thinks his backpack stuck one of the stove knobs when he was leaving. Oh, okay. Called 911. Yeah, very, very lucky, right? I worry kind of about that stuff because I can, right? I could take care of myself. I could take care of myself as long as everybody else is watching out for their, like, just don't let your stuff interfere with me, and I'll just take care of my surroundings. We're good, right? But we have over, I think, 200 suites in the building that I live in. 200, 100, maybe at least 150 suites, I would say, because just on my side of the building, I think we have 40 suites, and I think there's suites on the sides, and there's suites in the back of the building on the other side of the hallway, right? So yeah, I would say I'm gonna have to say over 100 suites anyway in this building. So we have 15 floors in the apartments that I live in. I'm on the fourth floor, right? I have my dinghy. I'll blow that thing up and strap it to me and jump out the window. I'll strap my mattress to myself. I'll put every toque that I have on so I don't crack my head open. I'll probably break a couple of bones, right? But from the fourth floor, well, I guess I shouldn't say floor, but right, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to hurt myself as badly, right? I wasn't going to say I'm not going to hurt myself badly because I'm still going to break some bones. It's still going to hurt, but I wouldn't want to be. Right. If I had my way, I would have a little house. In all truth, I would have a little house in the middle of a farm field with a little bit of forest surrounding the house itself so I could go for walks in the morning and have a little bit of privacy, right? But yeah, but right. We are where we are in the moment, and I am grateful for the roof that's over my head that gives me the opportunity to have the little job that I have that allows me to show up here every single day, right? Right, especially when the cold weather is coming, eh? Like I have a few people that I have interactions with, and they're homeless, and I worry about them in the winter time, and they do it. We have so many homeless people here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Minus 40 Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but minus 40 Celsius. It's so cold and wicked, wicked. You got to consider the wind. The wind is so bad here in the winter because we're right in the middle of the prairies, right? That's all good, William. And if Robert is out there tonight, I hope Robert's having a good night. He says he pops into our lives all the time, but he doesn't always pop into the conversation. So if you're out there tonight, Robert, I hope you're having a good week. It's all good. No need to apologize. Mm, feels good to have a cup of coffee. It feels good to start my days off. We worked hard. We work hard all the time, but we worked exceptionally hard. And what a good team, right? It makes all the difference when you have a really good team. And when I say good team, it just doesn't mean a good team that works good together, works hard together, but we actually like each other, right? We support each other, and yeah, we listen to each other. Yeah, we're a good team. I keep an emergency bag by the front door, the same bag that I put together for my trip. It's gotta weigh 50 pounds. It's so heavy, but it's got absolutely everything and anything that, if I actually, had to get out of here, or I got a vehicle, or, I could drop it on a sled and, right, start heading off to somewheres where I could build myself a home, let alone a fort, and build myself a home. I guess it would make sense for me to go off to the fort that I built, because it's already partially done already. So all I would have to do is fill it in with the tree branches, and right, and the bricks and everything are all there. I might have to dig through the snow to find them, but the bricks and everything are there for me to make a good, because I was starting to make a fireplace before I crapped out on that adventure, right? Yeah. I'll never forget the feeling of waking up in the middle of the night. My whole tent caved in on me because there was so much snow. I should have set the tent up underneath the trees, and it didn't even cross my mind that I should. I didn't even have a tarp over it or anything, and the weight of the snow just made the whole thing cave in. I didn't even come back for the tent until the next spring. And I just took it to my sister's and pulled it out, set it up, and I took the hose and I just hosed it all out. It was good as new. I'm still, well, I didn't use it this year because I was car camping this year, but it's perfectly good tent, right? And it's a pop up tent too, so it was a really good tent. When my mother passed away, there was a few dollars for each of us, and I used that money to buy some new good camping gear, because I knew, well, at least at that point, I thought that it might be my only opportunity to invest a little bit of money in my retirement. I would never be able to afford that kind of a tent when I retired. And, I've always been low income, right? I've never even contributed to a pension. Whatever the government gives me, that's my pension, right? And that's on me. But at the time, like I said, right, I felt that way, and so I was trying to accumulate some of those big ticket items that I thought maybe, that if I got them, then I wouldn't have to worry about them, and I could still carry on, even in my 40s, right? It was early in my 40s that got me back. I gave up the mother nature when my marriage fell apart. I actually gave it up for my husband, because my husband wasn't very much a mother nature person. He didn't like to go camping or spend time in the outdoors. He used to stay, because he was in the military and he had to go out to the field all the time. He says, I do that with my work. Why would I want to do that on my own free time? So I just kind of gave up on that. And then when my marriage fell apart, I forgot how much I loved it. I went to a social, and a social is something that the bride and groom put on to help raise money for their weddings here in Manitoba. And it's a great big party, right? You sell tickets for $15 each. Everybody buys a ticket to support the bride and groom. Even if you're not going to the party, you buy a ticket to support the bride and groom. And they hire a DJ, and they big dance floor and cheap drinks, and it's just a great party with friends and family, and they usually I've been to some my bridals. I had a social for my bridal shower. Didn't mean to be but it turned out it was in the junior ranks. It was in the bar, and oh my goodness, that was incredible. I had in my bridal shower over 200 people. Oh, so many people came to my bridal shower. Like I was getting gifts like it was my wedding. I was getting dining room sets and washers and dryers and vacuum cleaners and pots and pans. I was getting the most amazing, amazing gifts for my wedding shower. I said wedding shower, right? Oh, bridal shower, right? Okay. And and what was I saying about? I was trailing. Oh, we were talking about socials. Yeah, we were talking about socials. So they had Chinese auction. I don't know if you guys know what a Chinese auction is. It's where they have baskets and prizes and stuff, and you bid on them. What, right? Or no, you don't bid. You buy tickets, arms of tickets, and they take tickets, and then those are all your tickets, and you put them all in the bags that you want to bid on, right? And then they pull names, and if your ticket comes out, that's your package, right? And I won a camping package a couple of years after my marriage fell apart and I was home, and I was spending a lot of time, and it was just the first of many graces that came into my life. And even then I was totally unaware, but I was so happy to get the camping gear, and I went right into camping all by myself. Just took off on these trips all by myself. My family thought I was absolutely bonkers, right? But to me, it was absolutely normal. And not only was it normal, it was absolutely necessary for me to give myself that gift that was just absolute for myself. People ask me all the time, can I come on your trip, Sydney? Can I come? So many people. Can I come? Can I come? No, sorry. And for the most part, I would say, right? Because I'm not a rich person. And if somebody came with me, that would be sharing in the expenses, right? And even then, no, no, it's my trip, right? This is my manifestation for myself, right? Created by myself, right? Yeah. So and it's all for myself. So I didn't feel guilty, and I think most people here understand, because I'm moving forward, but sometimes it's a lot, right? And you're trying to have a normal life at the same time, but at the same time you want to feel that progress, and you still want to feel the magnificent and the beauty of that dazzle and amaze and those things that you believe in, or at the very least you want to believe in, right? And so I create this vacation every September. I go on it, and I think every September for the rest of my life, it's just going to be right. No matter what, I have to have September off. And right, and whether I'm impoverished or whether I am abundant out the yin yang, right? That's going to dictate how much dazzle and amaze comes to those comes to those trips, right? But I was pleased with the amount of footage I got. I was very pleased on the amount that I videotaped, um, but it didn't truly surprise me. I was surprised, but then when I thought about it, I really wasn't surprised, because I do love talking, and it's not a matter of love talking for the sake of talking, but I love that flow sometimes that comes out, that just knows the perfect thing to say at the perfect time when I wasn't feeling it. And then, right, I come back, like when I do my lives, I come back into my lives, and then I watch my lives and I go, oh my, that's what I meant. Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't sound as bad as I thought, because every time I turn my lives off, I always go, oh my goodness, Cindy, you sounded like an idiot, or right. And sometimes I have to go, Cindy, go watch your video. Go watch it. I go, oh, I don't want to see it. It's going to be painful. Oh, it was just silly. Oh, what did I do? And then I watch it and I go, oh my goodness, why am I talking to myself like that? Cindy, you did great, right? And then I have to give myself a little pep talk and a cheer, but just the evidence to see for myself. Because, if it can hold my attention and I'm taking it in as a lesson as myself, and I'm sitting there and I'm taking it in, then I know that it's decent enough. Okay, back into the comments. Oh, 100%. I would even go near a house fire. When I go camping, the worst thing ever is when you smell the burning plastic, because sometimes they throw the plastic into the fire pits and you can smell when somebody's burning their plastic. Sometimes you can even see it because plastic burns black smoke, right? So you know who the culprits are too. You must have been away, Andrew, when I asked what they refer you, because I was asking you a question. I don't think you got back to me on it, William. I was asking, what do they refer you in your titlement? Like, do they call you father or brother so and so, or do they call you pastor or reverend or your holiness? Like we were wondering, what is your what how do they reference you? Or do they just come in and say, "Hey William, how's it going?" Really? We sell cast iron frying pans at our work, and we usually put $15 on cast iron fire pans. They're really, really good sellers. They don't stay on the shelves very long, so we know we can put a higher price tag on the cast iron frying pan. So we usually put $15 on them, depending on the quality. If they come into us with lots of rust, then we have to really clean them and stuff before we can put them out on the shelf. But $15 sale is a pretty good sale. And but yeah, we do the cast iron. For myself, I'm not a big cast iron fan. I don't like the taste that it leaves. I used to use a cast iron Dutch oven for my stew. I used to make stew, and I was not a big fan of the taste of the metal. There was a certain taste that it left in my stew. I didn't like working with a cast iron frying pan or Dutch oven, but I did. I like cooking. I was actually talking about this today with one of my customers. Uh, I was commenting on a what was it? It was a cake pan. She bought a cake. Oh, it was a pie pan. It was a pie pan that she bought, and it was very shiny and clean. And I could tell it was one of the older ones because those shiny, clean ones, they're the old aluminum ones because they clean so well, right? Things don't burn. Sometimes your bakeware gets really dark and grungy from the oil and stuff, but the aluminum ones, they don't do that. They wash really, really nice. So I was commenting on her on her pie plate, and we were having a discussion about um, how much we enjoy cooking with the aluminum. But I know for a fact that aluminum causes some kind of brain. I'm looking for the word. Like marks on the brain. It leaves marks on the brain, the aluminum, right? When you ingest a lot of it. And I have aluminum cooking pots. I love cooking with my aluminum cooking pots. The heat is it everything heats really fast. Number one, because it's so thin. Uh, uh, Number two, there's no taste. There's no aftertaste, no metallic taste to it. And number three, they clean so easy, right? They clean these pots and pans are no trouble at all. I love my aluminum pans. I have a few of them. But yeah, your great grandparents cast iron frying pans. I watch a lot of metal detecting videos, and when they dig up these old settlers, these old cellar holes, quite often in the chimney stacks, they find the bean pots, pieces of the bean pots, and on the bottom of the bean pots, they have it's the same cast iron, right? But they have the little legs, right? Because the bean pots have legs on them, like table legs, but just little ones. But when they open up the chimney stacks when they're metal detecting, one of my favorite metal detecting channels is Stealth Diggers. I watch Stealth Diggers. I watch Not Thursday. I watch Hoover Boys. I watch Into the Plains, which is a bottle digging channel. Adventure Archaeology, which is a bottle digging channel, and Quarter Hoarder, who's a metal detecting channel. I watch a couple of the mudlarkers in England. I watch a couple of the mudlarkers out there, and every once in a while, I because I have fishing magnets too. There's a couple of guys that I watch that fishing magnets, and then I watch Dan Hurd. Does anybody here watch Dan Hurd? He's a miner. He has different mines in British Columbia, but he also he does a lot of co-content where he works with other co-creators and they make videos and he travels quite a bit. But yeah, for my entertainment, I would have to say, and then of course, right, my adventures. I have a I have a couple of adventures that I do watch. I have the Accidental Tourist that I watch, and then I watch Harold Balder, and he's but super guys. I don't watch a lot of adventures because I like to adventure my own. But these guys are such good camera, and because they love landscapes so much, that they spend a lot of time with their camera work, right? Just doing the mother nature and filming the trails as they're walking and stuff. And then their interactions with other people. And I really like that too. Because I'm very social when I'm out on the road too. When I'm out and about, I'm very social. I find people to be very interesting. And then when I find people to be a little bit like me that way, a little bit extroverted, when you can tell that they're introverted, but you can see that they're trying because nothing good comes without us moving towards it. And being an introvert, we're not prone to moving towards other people in any way. Sometimes we have to push ourselves to get out of that little bit of comfort. But when we do, right? But when we do, again, like we feel so proud of ourselves that we did it, right? Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, but the cast iron frying pans, yeah, not a big fan of the cast iron frying pans. I'd like to learn to work better with the pressure cooker. I know in high school when I was in cooking class, we worked with the pressure cookers, right? But they were scary. I always thought like the lid was gonna blow off or something like that, or it would explode because it was sealed so tight. And because around that time too, or a few years even earlier than that, I think I was like 10 or 12 years old. I was making Jiffy Pop popcorn, and when Andrew says, right, that these are good fire tips, I wish he had a fire tip for me because I was making Jiffy Pop popcorn on my mom's gas stove. My mom was off at work. I was the babysitter, right? And I wanted to make some Jiffy Pop popcorn. And I put the popcorn on the stove and I was just shaking it away until I realized that there was no flame going on with the stove. So I got my mom's long matches because I saw my mom light the lighter pilot so many times. And it was one of those big stoves, right? Where you have your burners here, and then you have more burners here, and then you have your oven down below. And I lit that, and the moment I got the flame to the burner, the whole thing exploded. Like the whole oven exploded. The door from the oven blew off, and it was an antique. It's right. It was a really old house. It was really old stove, and the bathroom was right across from the oven, and the oven door hit the bathroom door. It flew off, hit the bathroom door, which was 10 feet away, knocked the bathroom door off. Right in front of the bathroom door was the toilet, which my sister was sitting on. Shouldn't be laughing. The door hit her on the head, and then she pushed it off herself. It hit the bathtub, and then there were shelves all over the top of the bathtub. Right? No shower in those days, bathtubs, right? But there was, my mother had shelves all across there with all her soaps and shampoos and all that good stuff. And all of those shelves fell into the bathtub. Like, it was scary. Oh my goodness. It was scary, but my mother coming home was even scarier. And knowing that it was going to be hours and hours and hours before she got home, you can imagine the frenzy I had turned myself into. And you can imagine how clean that house was and how many extras, and her slippers were ready and she had her coffee and right? But she always knew something was up when we were like, right, super taking care of her and stuff. And yeah, she wasn't happy about it, but she didn't see it because was able to put everything back together, sort of, kind of. So all we had to do was, well, my sister would think out anyway, but right, it was only a story at that point, and it would only be a story as scary as her imagination would take it, right? And it probably wasn't as a big a deal for her as it was for me, because whoa, that scared the poop out of me. And especially when I thought I could have killed my sister when that bathroom door. And you know those old houses, those doors are like that thick and solid wood, right? And that door took out the bathroom door, right? And just it just landed on her good. But yeah, that was the last time I ever used a gas stove, and that was the truth. That was like 10 years old. I have never used a gas stove. Um, Actually, that might not be true because I do believe there was another gas stove uh, in one of my houses at the end of my high school year. And I can't imagine, because we lived there for a couple of years, that I can't imagine that I never used that stove. And actually I can think right now, yes, I did use that stove because I remember a specific dinner. I wanted to make dinner one night and they let me make dinner. Yeah. Every once in a while they would let me make dinner when I would learn something in cooking class, right? Let me come home and make a tuna casserole, or let me come home and make a chicken goulash or something like that, right? Yeah. So I'm not a fan. So if I ever got rich and had a great big mansion, I would never be going for the what do you call that? The gas stoves, and I definitely wouldn't want the what do you call that, glass top stoves. I don't like those ones either. They don't clean well. They're a pain in the butt, and every single speck shows. I just like the regular old, right, element stoves. They're perfectly good with me, and they're simple and uncomplicated and not nearly not nearly as dangerous. Well, that was why I was so pleased with my camp stove this year, right? I bought a new Coleman stove, and I was really pleased with the stove because the one I had last year was very scary, and I didn't want to use it, right? Because every time I lit it would do the same thing like that big gas stove that I had when we were kids, and yeah, it wasn't comfortable using that stove. I actually didn't even bring it home with me. I just gave it to the campers that were beside me. I says, "Hey, do you want a brand new barbecue?" I says, "I just used it for this trip, and I only used it a couple of times." I says, "Right, it's yours if you want it." Because I did not want to bring it home. It just rattled around in the back of the car, right? When I'm driving, I don't even have music. There's no point really in having music because you go out of range so often when you're right out on the road, and you're constantly changing the stations and some stuff to find a good station, right? So on the norm, I like to be with myself. I like to contemplate. I like to look at the views. I like to make stops and sit at a lake or on a rock or at a picnic table, walk down a path, right? I am, I am, yeah, I'm a strange bird. But yes, so this next couple of days we'll be editing that video. I think it's going to be the last video from this trip, but it's going to be a long one, and it's going to be lots of trails. So don't feel bad if you're not into the trails. It's a lot of it's going to be on the trails, and like I said, I come into these conversations. I tried to cut a couple of them out. I did. I may use them down the road. Not that they were bad and they were deep, and they were actually very good. I was expanding on there was a word that we were working on that week, and because we weren't able to spend the whole week on the word, and I can't risk, the word risk, and we only spent a couple of days on it. So I did expand on the topic in one of those conversations that I had. I don't think I included it in this video, only because, right, it was just me doing my yibber yabbering, but it was good. I may use it down the road for something. I don't know what. I might even chop it up, make shorts out of it or something. But right, but I want to maybe do a new adventure maybe next week. Like I said, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Maybe there's something going on at the forks, or maybe I'll go up to the park, up to Assiniboine Park or Assiniboine Forest. Um, I don't know, but I will. I'll be right into the next adventure 100%. And right, we're going to keep that momentum of getting those little explore videos out, right? You keep those going, right? Sooner and sooner, we're back into the big ones. Okay, you guys, I'm all poo-pooed for my week. Gave her the best that I could. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was the best that I had. And I'm going to give the same amount of time to my days off coming up. I will be back tomorrow with what's my good cheer. We'll be picking a new word tomorrow, you guys. We're picking a new word tomorrow. I'm really curious as to what the word is going to be tomorrow. It has been really neat picking the words and how they're coming out and how they're playing out in the moments. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for popping in. Kathy, thank you. Oh, I'm gonna you'll see me tomorrow. I'll be still around, right? Enjoying my days off, getting things done, right? Right? Getting ready for the next batch of days that I've gotta go back to work to put the roof over my head. But those days are enjoyable too. And believe me, after 3 days off, in heavy lessons and in heavy contemplation, oh my goodness, I'm ready to go back to work. But right now, I'm ready to start my days off. You guys, have a great night. And if I see you tomorrow, terrific. If not, we'll see you next week. And Sharon, have a great night. Sorry we missed you. Robert, if you pop in later, I hope you're having a great week too. And for anybody else that pops in later, have an amazing week. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.